Between 1647 and 1685, more than 300 wills were executed in the small Connecticut settlement of Newfield, an unusual number for a community that rarely held more than 60 families at a time. What troubled historians was not merely the volume, it was the pattern. Nearly every one of those wills passed through the hands of 3 men, brothers, all bearing the same surname. And beneath the floorboards of their home, investigators would eventually uncover hundreds of small glass vials, each containing traces of opium, belladonna, and other compounds capable of bending the human mind toward visions of heaven. The year was 1647. Newfield was young, rigidly Puritan, and struggling through a brutal winter. Food was scarce. Illness crept from house to house like a quiet thief. Death was not uncommon. It was during this season of desperation that 3 brothers arrived from Massachusetts Bay. They called themselves Obed Hale, Jeremiah Hale, and Cornelius Hale. They carried letters of introduction from respected ministers in Boston. The letters were later proven to be forged, but at the time no one in Newfield could recognize the difference. Obed, the eldest, claimed formal medical training in London. Jeremiah was a minister educated at Cambridge. Cornelius possessed legal expertise and offered his services as record-keeper and magistrate. In a settlement where authority was scarce and suffering abundant, they were welcomed as providence. Within months, Obed treated the sick. Jeremiah preached sermons that left congregants trembling. Cornelius oversaw legal documentation, property disputes, and wills. The brothers purchased a large abandoned home on stone foundations slightly removed from the village center. They expanded it, added a private study, an apothecary chamber, a prayer room. They did not marry, they did not court. They claimed their devotion was solely to God. Few questioned such sacrifice. The first to receive their special care was widow Martha Ellison. She owned 60 acres and no direct heirs. Obed diagnosed her with lung consumption. Jeremiah prayed at her bedside. Cornelius reviewed her estate documents. In Obed's private journal, discovered centuries later, an entry appears. Administer 15 drops of tincture. Introduce the notion of heavenly reunion with her husband. Prepare document with space for amendment. The tincture was a mixture of opium and belladonna. Within an hour of administration, Martha began speaking of angels, of light, of her deceased husband instructing her from beyond. Cornelius recorded every word. Jeremiah interpreted them as divine revelation. The next day, a revised will transferred her property to the Hale brothers for the glory of God. She died 2 days later. Her funeral sermon praised her spiritual clarity. The settlement accepted it without question. Divine visions were not rare in Puritan theology. They were proof of election. After Martha, others followed. Always those with property, always those nearing death, always those without strong heirs. Obed would prepare them physically. Jeremiah would prepare them spiritually. Cornelius would prepare the paperwork. Within 3 years, the Hales owned multiple farms. They donated generously to the church, funded improvements to the meeting house, established testimony Sundays where witnesses described the dying's heavenly visions. Doubt became dangerous. To question the brothers was to question divine experience itself. By 1655, Jeremiah was appointed official minister of Newfield. Cornelius served as magistrate. Obed's medical authority was absolute. They controlled body, soul, and law. The scheme might have continued indefinitely until 1664. That was the year Clara Hale arrived, 16 years old, claiming to be the daughter of a fourth brother who had remained in England. She carried documents confirming a future inheritance. The brothers accepted her into their home. Publicly, she softened their image. Privately, she observed. Clara was perceptive. She noticed certain vials never used in ordinary treatment. She overheard Cornelius drafting documents before patients ever spoke. She witnessed Obed administer a dark liquid to a farmer named Thomas Ridley. Within the hour, Thomas began describing angels instructing him to gift his northern fields to God's faithful servants. Cornelius leaned forward gently. "And does the Lord name those servants, Thomas?" Clara saw the pattern, and she began keeping notes. In the winter of 1665, a heavy snowstorm confined the household. The brothers left to attend a dying parishioner. Clara searched the cellar. Behind stacked firewood, she discovered a concealed chamber, shelves of glass vials, distillation equipment far more advanced than frontier medicine required, journals detailing dosage adjustments, experiments, calculations. One ledger listed every property acquired. At the bottom of the page, C.H., inheritance secured upon 18th year. Her initials. Clara realized she was not family, she was an asset. She planned to flee to Hartford with evidence. On April 15, 1666, a merchant convoy was scheduled to pass through Newfield. Her final journal entry read, "If I do not reach Hartford, let it be known that the Hale brothers are murderers cloaked in Scripture." She was seen that morning near the village square, lucid, calm. Jeremiah approached her. Witnesses later recalled he spoke for her when questioned. By noon, she was reported missing. 3 days later, her body was found in the woods. Obed declared she had succumbed to melancholy. Jeremiah preached about divine mystery. The village mourned. But Clara had hidden her journal beneath a loose floorboard. It was discovered by a servant woman who passed it to her literate husband. He copied it, sent it secretly to Hartford authorities. 2 weeks later, that husband fell ill after dining with the Hales. He died raving of angels and fire. In Hartford, officials began a quiet investigation. An undercover agent posing as a wealthy invalid confirmed the pattern. The delegation was dispatched to arrest the brothers, but upon arrival, their home had burned the previous night. Charred beams, collapsed roof, no bodies clearly identifiable. In the ruins, a hidden cellar survived. Inside, hundreds of vials, journals, personal relics of victims. A final entry from Cornelius. "The girl betrayed us. Fire cleanses. We begin anew elsewhere." The brothers were never conclusively found, but in 1670, 3 men named Preston appeared in Virginia. 1 physician, 1 minister, 1 lawyer. A similar pattern of deathbed revelations followed. In 1675, 3 men called Penrose established themselves in Bristol, England. Again, sudden wealth. Again, convenient fires. Whether coincidence or continuation remains debated. What is certain is this. In 1670, Connecticut passed the witness statute, requiring multiple unrelated witnesses for any deathbed will, specifically referencing prevention of fraud through claims of divine revelation. The law was born of scandal. In 1998, a Yale historian uncovered the archived investigation. Chemical analysis of residue confirmed opium and belladonna.
Medical historians noted the precision of dosage calculations. The Hale mixture was not crude poisoning, it was calibrated manipulation. Subjects remained verbal, but suggestible, capable of speech, incapable of resistance. It was, effectively, a 17th-century truth serum. The true death toll remains unknown. At least 23 documented cases involved death within days of will changes, possibly dozens more. The site of the Hale home remains undeveloped. Locals speak of unease near the foundation stones, perhaps superstition, perhaps memory. The greater horror is not supernatural, it is structural. 3 men combined: medical authority, spiritual influence, legal control, and in doing so created a nearly perfect engine of exploitation. Their victims died believing they were touched by heaven. Their neighbors defended the men who killed them, and the brothers may have walked free, repeating the scheme in new towns under new names. History rarely offers monsters with fangs. More often, it offers men in black coats carrying scripture and ledger books. And the question the Hale brothers leave behind is not merely where they went, but how many times such schemes have succeeded since. Because whenever authority goes unquestioned and faith replaces evidence, predators do not need to hide. They simply stand at the bedside and wait.